So Monday, our Monday format has changed a little bit. So we now have what I'm calling mindful yoga. And we're going to, basically, it's going to, generally, it'll change obviously week on week, but it's going to involve a little bit more focus on breath work. So a particular breathing practice maybe. Our poses will be really slow, so they'll be a little bit more like the yin poses that we did on a Thursday, but not necessarily that long, but they will definitely be slower, more mindful poses. And then we will end most weeks with a sort of brief type of Yoga Nidra, so some sort of rotation of awareness around the body. It will always differ, but something just to lead us into Shavasana. So it will be a much slower paced class, a real sort of chill out class from Monday evening. For those of you that want a little bit more, then join me tomorrow for a crazy animal flow. All right, so tonight, it's about feeling from the inside out. So there'll be lots of keeping the awareness inwards, noticing what's happening, softening into it. Right, if you are using the playlist, you can pop that on. We're going to just start on our backs. You can take any lying position. Legs out long is great to take up space and to feel that connection with the earth beneath you, but it's not always comfortable for the low back. So don't feel that you have to have straight legs. If a little bent knee is more comfortable, then please take that option. You can close the eyes down as you settle. Let the hands rest wherever they want to be. And just let the physical body drop into the space. Take the first few moments just to observe what is arriving with you into your practice. Whether that's physical sensation, or anything going on in the mind. We're just going to start with a conscious release through the body. So taking the awareness up into the head. I want you to soften where you can. And take the awareness into the neck and the shoulders. And again, let go. Check in with the torso, with the chest, the belly. And if there's anything that you can release or soften, then do that. Be aware of the arms, the hands. Can you make them heavy? And then travel from the hips all the way down the legs into the feet. Letting go of any effort, any hold. And just feel the body becoming heavier. Feel as if you are energetically detaching from your day. And just being here. Without changing anything, just begin to find your breath, observe your breath. The waves of breath might be quite small, quite shallow, or they might be deeper, but just trace them in and out of the body. And then, as if this is the start of your practice, just working with the breath, I just want you to start to very gradually strengthen the breath. There's no hurry to get there. Just start to take slightly deeper inhales and slightly stronger exhales. Feel as if the breath is energizing the body for your practice. Breathing in what you need, and breathing out anything that you can let go. A few more breaths here if you want to engage that ujjayi breath, that constriction at the back of the throat you can, or just breathe deeply through the nose. And when you're ready to, we're hugging the knees into the chest. If you've been out long, you might step the feet in first, take a little pause. And when you're ready, draw the knees in. You might find a little bit of movement, or just be aware of that gentle compression of thighs into the body. Any sensation in the low back. Stay soft through the face and the neck and the jaw. And then keep hold of the right knee and lengthen the left leg away. And stay there. So just hug the knee in. Keep all awareness on the sense of compression in the right hip crease. Breathe into it. And if the shoulders have hunched a little with the action of the arms, just soften them towards your mat. Then moving nice and slowly, we swap legs so you can release the right foot down. Draw the left knee in. Again, we're just focusing on the compression in the hip crease. So slide the right leg away and hug the left knee a little closer. Take one more breath here. And then you're bringing both knees in towards the chest, but just a transition as we find a happy baby. Now, this is quite early in the practice, so you might have all sorts of sensations going on in the hips. If you want to take it a little bit softer and just hold behind the backs of the knees, you can do. Really slide the knees off the sides of the body so that you're finding space for them to drop either side of the ribs. And again, we take lots of breaths here, so there's time just to observe what's happening. So notice, again, the hip creases, but also notice any sensation in the lower spine. Is the tailbone lifting a lot? Is it staying connected to the floor? Can you drop the shoulders a little bit more? And can you maybe find a deeper breath into the belly? As we hold the pose for a little bit longer, sometimes that sensation builds into the hips. Try to breathe into it, try to soften into it, rather than create any more tension. Couple more breaths. Moving nice and slowly, release the feet or the legs and drop the feet down to the mat. So we're taking a twist that will work through 3 stages. You're always welcome to stay at any point in the twist and not move any deeper. I will let you choose where you go. So to begin with, feet a little bit wider than hip width, hands down by the sides of the body. And we're just going to drop the knees over to the right-hand side. Again, feel this pose from the inside. So notice any sensation in the outer left hip, maybe the inner right hip. Notice where's touching down with the floor, where's lifted. If you want to stay in this version of a twist, you're just breathing here. If you want to take it a little bit deeper, the option is there to cactus the arms overhead. And then slide that left knee round so it comes on top of the right knee. Keep the left arm and shoulder anchored towards your mats. Be aware of any opening across the chest. And again, option just to stay as you are. If you'd like a deeper twist to finish on this side, you're sliding the right leg long on the mats, maybe a little adjustment so that the left knee can drop towards the floor. We'll take 5 more breaths in, whichever variation you're in. Be aware of how the breath moves the body as you inhale and exhale. When you have finished those 5 breaths, there's no hurry to return, but just start to revolve back to center. It might be a slightly different movement depending on where you went to. Just realign on your mat. And then we do the same to the other side. So take the feet back hip width, a bit wider than hip width on the mat. Let the knees drop over to the left. Again, notice all those sensations in the hips. And even though it's a simple twist, you can still bring a sense of softness into the upper body. Notice what's tensing that doesn't need to tense. Then you're staying where you are, or you're taking the option to bring the knees together, maybe with or without the cactus arms either side of the head. So just deepening the twist a little. Breathe into the belly, find space along the length of the spine. And then final progression, if you want to take it, is to lengthen the left leg all the way or just a little bit so that the right knee can drop all the way over. Five more breaths wherever you are. Now, when you've taken those 5 breaths, I want you just to unravel back to center. Now, keep the eyes closed as you do. And just find a sense of realigning on your mat without the guide of the eyes. So maybe just feel towards the edges. Think about where you're positioning the feet. We're setting up for bridge pose, so you want the knees to be bent. Be aware of that imprint all the way from the back of the head, down through the shoulder blades, down through the palms, back of the hips, the feet. And then when you have set that imprint up, we're going to lift into bridge. So take a nice big inhale to prepare. And then as you exhale, press into the feet, start lifting from the tailbone and take your time to arrive into bridge. And if you start to feel that there's a bit of constriction in the chest as you lift, just snuggle the shoulders underneath the body a little. See if that gives you a little bit more space to lift. We're holding at the top. We're just breathing here and keeping the awareness on what's going on. Feel the strength in the back of the body. Notice where in the legs you feel the effort. Notice what's happening in the shoulders. And what's happening in your breath. Two more breaths if you can. You can always lower if you need to. And then when you do start to lower, move nice and slowly and roll all the way down the spine. Let the shoulders release from underneath you, reset that footprint. But walk the feet a little bit closer together. They don't have to be touching, but just bring them in a little. We tend to take the feet wider to support our bridge. So just bring them a touch close together. We'll take one more bridge just the same. So breathe in. As you breathe out, press into the feet, tilt and lift the tailbone, and start to peel the body up. And if you need to, at that sticking point, just lift the shoulders underneath the body. Notice the difference that this may feel in the legs. Do the inner thighs have to work a little bit more? Stay with your breath, a couple more rounds. And then at the end of your next breath, you can slowly roll back down to the mat. And at the bottom, draw the knees in, give them a final little squeeze. Now we're coming into Cobbler Pose. We really just want to either rock and roll ourselves up or move round from the side, but keep the eyes soft gaze or closed as you arrive. As you bring yourself up, you're really just bringing soles of the feet together wherever you land and dropping the body immediately forward. Let the head hang down. Feel the weight of the body hanging forward. Feel the sensation in the inner hips. And see if you can find a little bit more depth to your breath. Let the belly really inflate as you breathe in. If there's any tension in the jaw here or through the facial muscles, then just let them release. And then nice and slowly bring yourself up and find a comfortable seat there. Just drop the feet into cross-legged position. We're just going to take a brief breathing exercise here. So you can keep the eyes closed, rest the hands down on the knees, palms up, palms down, or just drop the hands into the lap. You're breathing through the nose here. I want you to start by feeling like you're just breathing into the chest. So visualize and feel the breath filling the chest, the high chest as you breathe in. Be aware of that rise and fall or expansion and contraction of the chest as you breathe. And keep with the same breath, but feel as if it's traveling down to the belly button as you breathe in. So be aware of the rib cage expanding a little more to the sides. Dropping back as you breathe out. And then start to take the breath right down into the hips. So feel the belly expand, feel a sense of expanding through the low back as you breathe in. Being aware as you breathe that you're still filling the chest, the mid portion of the torso, and the belly and the hips as you breathe. And that sense of expansion as you breathe in, can you take that sensation into the shoulders and the arms? Maybe even up into the head, like the breath is traveling in all directions. Couple more breaths. And you can release that awareness, just breathe however the body wants to breathe. I want you to move slowly here, particularly if you've done quite a big breath exercise. It might make you feel a little bit lightheaded as you move. We're only going to all fours. And we're finding some easy cat and cows here, being aware of the movement and how it feels from the inside of the body. So keep the eyes closed if you can, or just gaze softly in front if you want the eyes open. So start small with your movements, breathing in, little drop of the belly, little lift of the heart. Breathing out, a gentle round of the spine. So feel that you're maybe only going to about 60% of where you would normally go. And then gradually start to build the movement without forcing any part of the spine or the neck or the shoulders. Notice whether the breath finishes first or the arrival into the pose. So you're still moving when the breath finishes, or do you still have breath to go as you arrive? And see if you can make the two match. Be really conscious of the breath to movement pattern. You've got a couple more rounds, movements in and out of cat and cow. And then whenever you're ready to go there, take the knees a little bit wider and find a child's pose. So if you want a little bit more opening to the hips, really widen the knees. If you want to use any supports, if child's pose doesn't let you always sink too deep, feel free to be on a bolster, have the hips a little higher. Really be aware of what it feels like to drop into child's pose in this practice. Where does the body feel at ease? Where is it maybe not as comfortable for you in this pose? Just be aware of those inner sensations. And if any movement or change of position would help, then feel free to take it, maybe turning the gaze to one side or widening the hands, softening the elbows. few more breaths to be here in child's pose. Okay, and then moving nice and slowly, lift yourself out of child's pose. You'll be in a kneeling position, just bring the knees together. So we're finishing with nothing strong at all, but a couple of slightly more poses that invoke a little bit more sensation before we drop into our Yoga Nidra to finish. So we're going to do the dreaded toe stand here. So just tuck the toes underneath and bring yourself back to sit on the heels. Now, if you are not good at kneeling, you can always stay higher and just try and lean back so you get a bit of stretch into the feet. We're not going to be here for too long. I want you to close the eyes and try and be aware of the sensation without gripping and stressing about the sensation. It's not the most comfortable, so try and observe it. And accept that it's there, that we're not here for too long. Keep with your breath. Four more breaths if you can. I'm on my final breath here, but if you've finished, you can just release out, come back to all fours, tap the feet out, circle the ankles. It's always a strong pose, but a really good one just to stretch the muscles in the feet, the fascia along the soles of our feet. Okay. And then we're going to take a nice big juicy lizard on each side to finish. So step your right, if you want to put a blanket or anything for your knees, keep it as comfortable as you can tonight. Right foot is coming forward. Now it's up to you here. You can stay high on the hand. If you've got bolsters or cushions to hand, bring them in and come down onto the forearms. You want to try and soften in. So keep observing sensation in the hips. Wherever you are, it might be that the body can sink a little bit more, the hips can sink. Try and remove any resistance to the pose. Deepen the breath a little if you can. Maybe even make the breath a bit stronger. That you're consciously staying and feeling into the pose. Final breaths here on this side. Now, as you move out of it, I want you to move really slowly. Come back to hands if you are leaning forward. Really slowly guide the hips back until you're in a position to switch the legs. But take time between sides. Ease in on the other side. Use any props that you fancy. And be aware that it might feel different on this side. So if you maybe dropped lower before, you don't necessarily have to drop down on this side. Or it may feel that you can go a little bit lower. Soften where you can. Final 30 seconds here. Okay, again, moving really slowly, come up onto the hands, then start to ease the hips back. All right, and as you come out of that one, the only place we're going now is down onto your mats. And we will have a short Yoga Nidra session, and then it will lead straight into Shavasana. As I said on the post, if you fall asleep, that's okay. So if you do drop off or you don't want to come back at the end, doesn't matter, I will switch you off at the end. Make sure that you're comfortable, make sure that you're warm enough. You probably are tonight, but if you're on catch up, make sure that you have a blanket or an extra layer. And just set yourself up in a lying position. If you can be out long on the mat, make sure the legs are a little apart, the feet can fall away, and let the hands and arms be away from the body. If you want the legs bent, just make sure the knees are supporting each other and there's no effort needed. So I'll let you just start finding that comfortable position. Make any movements that you need to feel yourself settling in, getting comfortable. As we settle here, we set aside anything that happened before our practice, anything that is yet to happen after the practice. We are just here. So we take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, just let go of any thoughts, anything that you need to release at the end of your practice. And just begin to experience the stillness. Know that you can move your body at any time. But if it feels good, then allow yourself to be still. Everything is effortless. And as I guide you through the body, you can just allow the words to be received energetically rather than mentally. So let the mind rest as much as possible as well. So take your awareness to the point between the eyebrows. Effortless inner awareness at the point between the eyebrows. And then float the awareness to the hollow of the throat. Then to the right shoulder joint. The right elbow joint. The wrist. The right thumb. Index finger. Middle finger. Ring finger. Little finger. Just effortless awareness to the right wrist, the right elbow, the right shoulder joint, and the hollow of the throat. Shift your awareness to the left shoulder joint, the left elbow, the left wrist, the left thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, little finger. Your awareness is shifting freely to the left wrist, left elbow, left shoulder, and the hollow of the throat. Bring your awareness to the heart center, to the right side of the chest, to heart center, to the left side of the chest, to the heart center. Awareness at the heart center. Resting all awareness at the heart center. Observe the breath, making no changes. Be aware of the body gently moving on each inhalation and exhalation. Feel each breath as if it is a wave, rising and falling in the body. Begin to count the waves of breath. So you inhale for 1, exhale for 2, inhale for 3, exhale for 4. Keep going on your own. Counting each breath If you drift or lose count, come back to 1. And then let go of the counting, let go of the focus. Let your body rest in the stillness and take Shavasana. Very gently and without moving the physical body, just begin to draw the awareness back. Returning to those sensations within the body. Those small movements taking place with the breath. The connection the body has with the floor. And then begin to start to deepen the breath. And with a deeper breath, bring small movements into the fingers, tapping thumb to fingertip. and movements into the toes, the feet, the ankles. And as you feel your awareness returning, you can allow that movement to spread throughout the body. Maybe when you have stretched or rock the knees out and taken that movement, in your own time, you can come back to a seated position. If you want to lie on your side to transition, you can. When you arrive back into that seat, keep the eyes closed and take a final moment just to tune in to how your body feels from the inside at the end of your practice. And then we will close off our practice here, taking a final breath in, reaching the arms up and overhead. Breathing out as palms touch. We take thumbs down to the forehead for kind thoughts, to the lips for kind words, and the heart for kind actions. Thank you for sharing your practice. Namaste.